I have always been jealous of people working on laptops in cafes or trains, smashing the buttons and getting money. I couldn't imagine what they can do on it to earn, but as soon as I got my 13-inch MacBook Pro, I definitely understood. So I'ma tell you right now, let's go! What's good, my name is Oleg Nikitin and I'm a freelance videographer for more than 8 years now. You're watching No Limits On and Tech Kitchen, the channel about the privilege of being a freelancer, tips and pieces of advice about motivation, personal growth and some tech aspects. Welcome to the channel. Since we're on my Tech Kitchen, 13-inch MacBook Pro base model 2019 reminds me of a snack. The main advantage of a snack is that it's always in your backpack, ready to help at any moment. For instance, a fresh apple, a perfect snack. You know what I'm saying. As a disclaimer, I'd like to mention that it's not an ordinary geeky review with tons of benchmarks and specs. This review is all about helping you to decide whether it's a good choice to buy a MacBook Pro 13-inch as your main workhorse, or as a great addition to your main computer, or as a perfect tool for travel workers. Everything I say is based on my personal experience based on more than half a year. So here is a recipe, the ingredients. Unfortunately, out of the box, 13-inch MacBook Pro base model is hardly a workstation. That is why down in the description below I put some links to my favorite accessories. In this list you'll find Samsung T5 1TB SSD to get more fast memory and be able to edit a good amount of videos on the go. A dongle by Your Green with 3 USB Type-A ports, 1 power delivery USB Type-C port, HDMI and double SD card readers. 20,000 mAh power bank by Xiaomi, a Chinese brand which can charge my MacBook. Cooking time and difficulty. It's a pretty straightforward and simple machine. If you are a PC user, there will be a small learning curve, but in a few days you'll get used to it and won't look back. At least I didn't. Working with Touch Bar is very intuitive and Apple's trackpads are still considered to be the best on the market. Serving a dish. The best serving of a MacBook Pro 13-inch base model is a nice soft case or a bag, because hard cases would ruin the aesthetic pleasure of using it. You take it out of a bag, use it and then put it back in. To me, that's the perfect way of using it. User experience. I've been traveling a lot since 2018 and I started shooting European weddings, and I felt that I could spend time more efficiently than watching some series on my iPhone. Now I watch series on a much bigger screen. No guys, I'm kidding. Now I can look through the footage I've shot, edit some small videos, write a script for a new episode on my YouTube channel, or make a same-day edit on a wedding. Or demonstrate to my customers great videos on a nice display during meetings. And it's all in a very compact and lightweight form factor. My girlfriend owns a 15-inch model and I can definitely say that the amount of screen space doesn't worth sacrificing the portability and weight to me. Yes, I've chosen a base model with only 128 gigs of internal memory, because I've already owned a 1TB SSD from Samsung with 500 MB per second transfer speed, and during traveling I don't need more than 1 TB. I also didn't need extremely powerful hardware, because most of my on-the-go tasks are pretty simple. For instance, making a same-day edit on a wedding even in 4K, and it copes with it really good. Yes, on a trackpad I edit a little slower and render time is a bit longer, but I was more than satisfied with video editing in Final Cut Pro X. The screen size is okay to work in FCP X, and the form factor allows me to place it on any folding table in a plane or a train with ease. The battery life is decent until you start editing big projects or 4K footage in Final Cut Pro. But for this scenario, I do have my 20,000 mAh power bank with power delivery, which can charge my MacBook Pro from 0 to 100% 1.5 times. Half a year ago, I've changed my hometown to Moscow, and during the first 3 months, I couldn't transfer my 5K iMac to Moscow. So I've edited around 40 videos on this laptop, and it did perfectly fine. Even 1.5-hour videos in Full HD and small projects in 4K. The best experience was when I traveled from my hometown to Moscow for 24 hours by train, and I edited all the videos I've shot in 4 days in my hometown. So when I arrived to Moscow, all the work was already done. Great! So now let's talk about the advantages. Besides the things I've mentioned before, I'd like to notice that the internal speakers are pretty loud and the sound quality is on par. The display is bright enough, but I have switched off the True Tone mode to work properly in Final Cut Pro X. Usability of Touch Bar is also great. You have tons of options in different software. It's especially helpful while typing and working in Pages, or in Safari browser, or even in Final Cut Pro X. Most of the time, the MacBook doesn't overheat, so it's comfortable to work with it on your laps indeed. Hide the dock strap and you'll get much more usable space in different software. And now about the disadvantages. A lot of people say that 128 gigs of internal memory is not enough, but frankly speaking, internal memory is mostly for your programs, and all the other things I can store on my fast and small SSD. And I've got around 30 to 50 gigs free all the time. And it motivates you to clear your downloads folder more often, which is helpful to keep your Mac clean. Also, I hear a lot of complaints about the butterfly keyboard, that it breaks, doesn't work properly, and all that stuff. Right now I'm typing the scenario to this episode on it, and I've typed around 100 pages already and I didn't have a single issue. By the way, the 2020 13-inch base model will have 256 gigs of internal memory and the old-type keyboard, so both of those issues will be solved. What really makes me angry is that my fingerprints are all over the keys, trackpad, and even the screen bezels all the time. But I guess that's the problem of my fatty fingers. And the shell of the MacBook is also can be scratched or damaged, so I do put it in a soft bag and use it carefully. Also, only 2 USB Type-C ports is considered to be not enough, but I'm not agree. I didn't have a single time when I needed one more port. The Your Green dongle has a power delivery port and a lot of USB Type-A ports, and most of the time I use one port for charging and the other one to plug in my SSD. Now it's time to talk about the Relevance. Apple's tech is known for its durability. Many of my colleagues are using 2015 or 2016 MacBook Pros and truly happy with it. Also, the price of resale in a used model doesn't drop dramatically, and the software updates are coming out for at least 5 years. The current generation is already pretty powerful to be a full-time workhorse, even for a small video production or YouTube. And I'm not even talking about typing or browsing usage. I don't see a single reason to switch it to a higher model for the next 5 years at least. In my opinion, it's a great addition to your main workstation or a good beginner's choice. And as a bonus, I'd like to mention that during isolation and stay-at-home time, it was very helpful in my family life. During daytime, my daughter was studying through Skype and Zoom, and I could edit on my main computer. And in the evening, we could watch some movies laying in the bed. That's been it, and we're moving on to the quote of the episode. You first parents of the human race, who ruined yourself for an apple, what might you have done for a truffled turkey? And question of the episode. Do you use a laptop? Which one do you prefer? Shall we pay more for more powerful options? This was Oleg Nikitin and Tech Kitchen. I hope this episode will help you to choose wisely. See you guys in the next one. Bye.